Hey sports fans, Greg Medford from Medford Knife and MKT USA. How's it going, everybody? I know I've been a little bit remiss in doing live videos. We got one viewer. I've been a little remiss in doing live videos. I've been busy. Hey Riley, I have been busy getting ready for SHOT Show. I've been busy dealing with all the stuff that you deal with when you have an operation like we do. So I have a quick fun thing here. We're gonna do a quick chat about this book. And I know it's backwards to you guys, sorry. It's by C.A. Rudolph. It's called Worlds Apart. It's part of the What's Left My World series. I don't know if this is, it looks like it's, it's got AR-15s. It looks like it's an adult series. Alan Russell thought about his family night and day. They didn't just mean the world to him, they were his world. As a devoted husband and father, his sole purpose to love, support, and protect them. Yet Alan had gone a step further, doing everything in his life in his power to ensure his family's survival and what he believed would become a perilous and uncertain future. On the day civilization changed forever, he found his efforts hadn't been enough. So it looks like this is some sort of dystopian, post-apocalyptic survival story. Just my kind of story, by the way. And this guy, you can see it's got this good-looking chick on the front. It looks like she's slinging a Kalashnikov. And there are numerous spots in the book you can see here where the Medford Praetorian tie pops up. So I hate, hey Christian, I hate to be a shameless self-promoting whore, but I really wanted to promote this C.A. Rudolph book. It's called Worlds Apart, and I'm actually going to dive into it tonight and start a reading on it and see if I like the series. I know it's a little old-fashioned. If it's good, I'm sure it'll turn into a Netflix original series. But the guy's got all these mentions of the Praetorian in here, and I thought it was kind of fun. And it's not the first time I had a CIA, a guy who was a CIA covert operative wrote a book. Brandon J. Oh my God, please don't hand those out. It's Centurion. Why would I do that? Anyways, I had this guy, he wrote a book, and then he got in trouble with the State Department. My name was all over the inside of it. With the knife, this, that, and the other. I said, oh, Jesus. Hello from Austria. Ah, well, guten Tag. Guten Tag nach Österreich. So anyway, I guess if you get a chance and you want to support a guy who likes our knives or read an adventure story that's got a knife like yours in it prominently, that would be fun. It's kind of cool. And I got the original Praetorian here for just such an occasion. That's the original #1 Praetorian tie, the first one ever. Didn't have a clip on it because the Navy SEAL I made it for wanted it to lay at the bottom of his pocket. Guys, I wanted to talk some politics with you, okay? What happened? I just woke up and apparently I just watched a video where an elected U.S. representative, an elected government official, was proud of the fact that if a woman goes into labor and they have to perform an abortion and kill a child, that it's now legal in New York. Or if a woman goes into labor and she has a panic attack and decides that having a baby that's an alien is bad for her, she needs to get the alien out of her womb, it's now her right, and they have to kill the baby or get the baby out or do an abortion. I heard a U.S. congressman say, who's also a physician, from Virginia, I believe, say, if a baby is born, after it's born, he called it the infant, they can choose whether or not to resuscitate or allow it to live. What? I've been listening to elected representatives, duly elected representatives of the United States, talking about getting rid of insurance. You guys realize, and I'm sure you guys do, you're all sensible. I don't have any lunatics who listen to this. You guys realize that Christopher Columbus wouldn't have been able to sail the ocean blue had he not had insurance. You realize insurance makes the world go round. Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris or former mayor of Oakland's side fuck piece, whatever you want to call her, or whatever he was the mayor of, but she was a fuck piece. She's now the leading contender for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States, calling for the dismantling of health insurance. We have a dysfunctional set of rules put on private industry to put the guns to the head of doctors to provide a service at a fixed cost that has created abnormal pressures in the marketplace. The government solution, instead of looking at the economics, was to force us to buy insurance. That's essentially what Obamacare was. And now, that's not worked, which we all said it wasn't going to work. We all said it was going to drive up prices, and we were all called doomsdayers and anti-government shills. And exactly what we predicted was going to happen has happened, and now they just want to get rid of insurance. And she's one of the up-and-comers. We've got Ocasio-Cortez. I hate even repeating her name because she's such a stupid, dumb. She's such a cum-dunt that she doesn't deserve mentioning. And she's a bright up-and-comer. I wouldn't be surprised if she runs for president. These people are identifying as openly as socialists and Marxists, you guys. Now, I took this oath, and a lot of you took this oath to protect and serve against enemies, foreign and domestic, and to follow the Constitution, the rules set forth in the Constitution of the United States. I just listened to some hijab-wearing, smelly-assed, duly elected representative Congress basically talk about Israel like they're an amoral, bad country, and clearly she said they were an evil country. Israel's evil. Now this is a duly elected representative from Michigan. Guys, I'm making the call right now. This is treason. Kamala Harris. Oh, it's okay. Kyle, come in. I'm just ranting. I was just explaining what cum dunt meant.
Cum dunt?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch later because I don't even know what it means.
Cum dunt. It's just a little wordplay. I swap a couple letters around, and that way Facebook doesn't kick me off for saying Kamala Harris is a cum dunt.
Okay.
What's going on out there?
I just want to let you know I pushed an issue will be coming your way because I got to stay on top of the guys over here.
What is it?
A thin wall condition on the 187 flippers in the lock tab, the internal locks.
Yep.
Thin wall feature. Right?
Does someone is it a part? It's a misload.
Yeah.
How many of them?
Fish is counting the fallout rate right now for me.
Who made them?
Schwartzy.
Oh.
Yeah. So it looked like a case of not making sure they were loaded properly. Because if they lifted up...
Is it a lot of them?
He fish pulled out 14 randomly, and there was 3. So
And it's the thin wall to the outside surface from the bottom of that channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you bring them to me?
Okay.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
It must be so cool being in the knife business. Greg, you must love being in the knife business. It must be just awesome being the master of your destiny. No complaints. So I think this Kamala Harris and then this any of the hijab wearers in our Congress and anybody who's going after our allies, anybody who's calling for socialism openly, I think if you're a socialist, you should be disqualified.
Total of 5. All out of the same tub, so it just comes down to a case of complacency.
It was one batch.
Yeah. Probably at the end of the run, towards the end of the day.
Yeah. And they're all at an angle too.
Yeah.
It got put in there and it was catching on the edge right here and it didn't get caught. They got a knock on them with their knuckles to find that.
Or hammer tool.
Did you bust him?
I started talking to him about it, and then I was going to give him a full overview once I got the complete fallout rate.
Yep, hold on to that. Let's get the complete. Is that all of them?
That's it.
All right, and it ain't nothing. That's a lot.
No, a lot
It's
of
crazy.
50, that's,
10%.
yeah,
And we've got to put that all in his notes and all of that.
most definitely.
Okay. So I say anybody who identifies as a socialist or a communist or a Marxist in our country, I say I'm welcome to debate with you and the facts will fall where they will. I say anybody who's elected to Congress and says they're a socialist or a Marxist, we either have a problem with who we're letting vote or we have a problem with the rules of who we let get elected. It's one or the other. I'm a big fan right now of lining up anybody who works for our government who says they're a socialist and giving them a 9mm injection and letting the chips fall where they will. I'm a big fan of doing it on TV. Yeah, so I'm calling for the execution of traitors. And I think the Inquisition should begin. Probably going to get me kicked off Facebook. I don't know what else to say, you guys. I just read a screenshot from an image put up on the wall in California recently talking about the difference between conservatives and liberals. It was just really nice. Looked like a frame from a PowerPoint presentation put up on the wall for kids in high school. Conservatives inhibit progress, look to the past, use religion to get their way. I mean, it was just like 10 of the most twisted perspectives on conservatism I've ever seen. Liberals, care for all people, look out for the little guy. It just, right, it was like everything that's good about being liberal. That was their public school slide on the difference between conservatives and liberals. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the battle has been lost while we've all been polite. While we're being polite, our country's being stolen from us. So I'm getting pissed off. I'm not wealthy, and I certainly don't have enough money to stop working. But if I did, I would be looking for a way to punch out right now, because I just think the Republic's lost. You know, I'm going to go do a parent-teacher conference in a few minutes with Jackie. Roxanne had hers a couple days ago, and the teachers all said, whatever you guys are doing, keep doing it. She is one of the best little humans I've ever worked with, and I wish I had a whole class like her. She's spectacular. And I said, thank you. And she gives me her reports because I always say, hey, how's school going? We talk every day, every night. She tells me what's going on. And the power company's coming in. They're going to talk about global warming. This company's coming in, they're going to talk about the green agenda. And you got this group coming in talking about how the government looks out for the people. That's what my daughter's being told. And when that happens, it's like, hey, hold on a second, let's talk about the power company. Well, she goes, oh, it was APS. And, they came out to talk to us about electricity. So they give them a little bit of science, and it's all bottled in this agenda. Why is the Arizona Power Company coming out to talk to kids about electricity? Is it because the teachers are too dumb to know what electricity is and how it functions? That's one possibility. Is it because the power company is a public utility that's made a deal with the teachers union to come here and talk? That's another possibility. Is it because our power company locally is a nuclear power facility and they want to come out and talk about how nuclear energy is safe, clean energy so that the NIMBY, not in my backyard paradigm is neutralized by a whole generation of young kids that they've done PR with? Smart, good, probably true. Here's what's interesting. The nuclear power people are pushing the global warming agenda. Why do you think? Because they know they're the only answer, the only solution. So now we have a power company here, and I saw the handout, and I looked at the numbers, and they're handing out Democrat dogma, that is agenda, that they say is all science-based. But, since I'm actually really a scientist, I always like to say, what do you mean it's science-based? Maybe I'm not a scientist practicing, I'm a logician and chemist. I said, well, what do you mean it's science-based? Well, we've gotten it from this group of science and that group of science. And I go, what group of scientists? And they say, well, 98% of all scientists. And I go, oh, that's actually not a real statistic. Where are all the scientists voting on science? And since when did science become something you vote on? Science isn't democracy. Science, one man can stand alone. Galileo, Copernicus, Newton. These were all people who were wildly unpopular and near Da Vinci. They were close to being executed for being scientists and stepping outside the absolute dogmatic norm that threatened the power structure. I'm not a flat earther. I've flown high enough to see the curvature of the earth. There's science that backs up a round planet. It's math, geometry, physics. It's the same thing with global warming. And what's really important as we look at global warming is it's really important if we ask two scientists in a auditorium, let's say the size of a high school, to tell us exactly what temperature the room is to within 1/2 degree. They would probably take 100 samples in a room that big. And they would both come up with different answers, and they would not agree on the temperature, and they would not agree on the way to best sample the room. And they would agree to disagree that the range is somewhere between X and Y. Now, any scientist who wouldn't agree with what I just said is lying. And the same thing with our planet. There are huge, huge swaths of our planet that are not measured very much. There are a bunch of little micro dots in places with agenda, with scientists measuring, that we have some data on. Thermometers have changed in the last 100 years. Ocean levels haven't. There's a lot of data to back that up. When I hear somebody threatening that the world's going to end in 12 years, I hear someone's reading the Incan calendar. That's what Ocasio-Cortez has done. That's what Al Gore was doing. While he was jet-setting around in his private jet, telling us all how to live green and save the world. And all of his predictions turned out to be almost all wrong. So people say to me, how do you not believe in global warming? I said, well, I believe in climate change. Do I believe they know how much it is? No. Do I believe they can predict the future? No. Do I think they understand climate modeling? No. Do I think they're successful and can repeat anything that actually happens in the real world with their models? No. When they can tell you what a hurricane's going to do a little bit better than they do now, I'll start listening. Anyway, we have socialists and communists, and quite frankly, you guys, Joe McCarthy had it right. Even while he was wearing panties or whatever he was doing, J. Edgar, but whoever wearing panties, McCarthy had it right. We should be hunting down socialists and conservatives, and we should be blackballing them. I want to talk about one other thing, and it's the greatest theft that's ever happened in human history. And then I'll take my Praetorian and my book that someone says I shouldn't be handing out. Guy gave me a solid mention. I thought I'd give him a solid mention. We have, this is the greatest theft. We have agreed to let the government take our money in the form of taxation. They told us they were going to take our money for Social Security after the Great Depression because you can't trust people to take care of themselves. So we're going to do it for you so we never have soup lines again. They started taking our money, and the first thing they did is they piled up the money and they stole it. It's not even, Social Security is not an entitlement. It is a savings account that we put our money into and we get our money back from. When they talk about cutting Social Security, what they're doing is they're talking about finally, for the first time in 100 years, being honest that they've been stealing our money for our own good and spending it all on other countries and other stuff. Now, what happens when a government of 435 people, a president and a cabinet and a Supreme Court, steal all your money? They have an obligation to pay you back because they know they'll lose their power. What's the next thing they need? They need more people. They need 2 people to pay for every 1 person who's collecting. So what do they want from us all? They want us all to have more babies. I've read estimates that we need to produce between 2.1 and 2.7 children per couple to sustain our society. We produce 1.7 or 1.3, depending upon how you count it. Countries like Japan are in near collapse, and Germany are approaching near collapse in the next 50 years. That's not alarmist. That's not global warming pablum. That's just mathematics. It's absolute, factual, hard science. These countries will be in a freefall population collapse. They have no new population coming along to carry the weight they've saddled on themselves in entitlement and in repayment. And in our case, repayment. The greatest theft in humankind. They've taken our money and they bought stuff with it and spent it all. And it was our savings account for our retirement. Do you know how many times I hear young people say, I don't plan on Social Security being around when I retire? They're going to say, you're going to get all your money back when you're 84 and you retire. And everyone dies at 86. So basically, it's a tax. They've stolen our money from us. And then the only way they have any chance of kicking the ball down the field a little bit further is to have more people. But we're having less people because we can't afford them. Because you've made it a pain. Because we can't make fucking peanut butter sandwiches and send the kids to school with cookies. And we can't bake a cake on their birthday. All the fun stuff. You've made it fucking a pain. Because the school monitors from school are now in charge. The douche canoe losers who wanted to all be in charge because they had no competence to throw a football, win a spelling bee, or fucking National Honor Society in French. They're the hall monitors have taken over. They've stolen our money. They've devalued our currency. And now, since we don't have enough children, our society's going to collapse. The only answer is the open border importation of brown people from the world who have almost no skills or any talent. And they've twisted the great American dream into the great American welfare scheme. While we're all sitting here polite, denying gender, denying life of a viable baby, paying for transvestites to be converted, transgender to happen in the military. Does anyone see a pattern of corruption here? So, we're slaves. Admit it. Social Security should be ended. Admit it. Our federal government has been corrupted to its core and needs to be burned to the fucking ground. Admit it. The emperor has no new clothes. The emperor is naked. So, gentlemen, arm up. Hoard some 5.56 justice. Get your knives. Get your go bags. Get your generators installed. Trust me, it's a coming. It may not be the big all-ending boom. It'll probably be some sort of de-escalating collapse. But if the sales pitch is, your country is no more, your opinion don't matter, you're a racist, everybody else is what's truly important, our ideology is more important, because it's the only way we can keep the three-card Monte going. If that's the pitch, I'm done. I don't even know how to identify as an American anymore. Are there any other Marines out there who feel that way? I don't know how to identify as an American anymore. I'm disgusted. We get a little further along, folks. Guys like me, we're going to get a troop of our bros together, and we're going to make the Free State of Greg, or call it the Free State of Bros, Broville. Trust me, it'll be a place you want to live. In the meantime, I'm going to make a lot of knives, and I'll be ready for the fucking apocalypse. And on that note, I'm out.